Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming here to the keynote. There's a lot of, as Jim was saying, a lot of cool events here, or sorry, sessions here. So I appreciate that you're coming here, and I will do my best to deliver something very interesting to you for the next hour or so. I'm getting a little bit of help from some of my friends, and I'll invite them up all in due time. So I'm on the Visual Studio team, and I've been here for about 15 years. And we have something new that we want to show you. But before that, let's think about what have we done since last time we saw each other, so about a year ago. We've had a fantastic year. So Visual Studio, in the new Stack Overflow survey that just came out, the Visual Studio family, so VS Code and Visual Studio, are still on the 4th year now the most popular IDEs and developer environments. It's really, really impressive when you think about how old Visual Studio is. Jim, I believe we were like 28 and a half. Is that right? Where did he go? He ran out. Okay. Well, he's getting coffee. So 28 years, right, of Visual Studio, and we remain in the top, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I'm very, very appreciative of everybody that made that happen. And of course, a lot of that was you. For the first time this year, this spring, we now reached 50 million developers using the Visual Studio family of products. So both from VS and VS Code, we've never had more users than we do now. And it's really a testament to all the energy that, of course, that we put into it, but also all the energy that you put in and tell us what direction you want the products to take, what new challenges that you're facing that you need our help with. And you know, partnering up, we are delivering this together. And I just want to say thank you, very heartfelt. This is a fantastic thing to be able to say here 28 years later. It's quite extraordinary. So for Visual Studio, when we think about Visual Studio, the IDE, here's kind of where our mission is. We want to drive success for our users by creating the most lovable experience for .NET and C++ developers. Lovable being the key word here. And .NET and C++ is pretty much what I'm looking at here, according to what we know from previous years. So this all resonates, I'm sure. This is the key focus of Visual Studio, and it has been for a long time. Visual Studio is the premier place for .NET and C++ development. And it will continue to be. You know, one of the cool things about Visual Studio, I've been using Visual Studio for 25 years. So the feeling that it gave me when I first started out was this feeling empowered that whatever I could think of, whatever I could dream, these things I want to build, Visual Studio was there for me. I could rely on Visual Studio to make things real that I was dreaming of. And that had continued all through my career in different startups, different roles on engineering teams. Whether I was like, you know, junior software engineer, senior software lead later on in life, and then joining Microsoft to work on Visual Studio, which of course was a dream come true because I'd been a long time Visual Studio user at that point already. So it's that feeling of empowerment that makes me want to get up in the morning and build Visual Studio features, to work with all of you, to give you that same feeling of empowerment, inspiration, that you can do anything, that the world is open. So that's why I do what I do. And everyone on the team has a similar story or their own story of why this is so important to us. And so some of the ways we get there, and this is more true recently in the last few years than ever before, is we started paying really good attention to what you're telling us. Not that we weren't listening before, but it's a whole different level. So when we're talking about quality of life, for instance, all these little things, the paper cuts, they matter, even though it's like a paper cut here, a paper cut there. Well, when you're using Visual Studio 8 to 10 hours a day, which a lot of you are, that's like half your waking lives you're spending in Visual Studio. And so little things become big things. And that realization and that understanding is something that we are working toward with every day to reduce the paper cuts, to add those delighters that just puts a smile on our faces. And so that's one key. The other key is we have support for all your workloads. That's the goal, right? Whether it's older, maintaining legacy code bases to like the latest and greatest technology that you want to use, Visual Studio is there. And when you start small and you want to scale it over time, Visual Studio is there every step of the way. And we want to make you as productive as we possibly can, because you can't, if you're not productive, you're not happy. Like feeling that productivity, happiness is kind of, some people define it as making progress toward a goal. And so that's extremely important that we can allow you to have that progress. You can feel that happiness, right? And brings us back to that lovable software. And we started doing a lot of this like a few years ago, where we really kind of changed how we looked on what features to build, how to prioritize. And usually when we get feedback, we ask for surveys or something like that. People always tell us, oh, we love this or we love that, and we don't like this, or can you change this? Like that's very typical. But usually we have to ask for the feedback to get it. But something started happening recently. People out of nowhere on social media, under our when we did videos or something like that, they started just coming out and be like praising some of these things that we've been doing, like understanding that hey, we're starting to fix all these paper cuts. We're starting to add these small little delighting features that maybe does nothing but put a smile on your face. And it really was something that resonated with a lot of people. So this is what we call the fundamentals. Make sure we do quality work. We actually do the things that you care about, no matter how small they are, right? The devil's in the detail, and even small things become big when you use Visual Studio for as much as a lot of you do. So those are the fundamentals. We also saw something else happening, which is, of course, AI and the explosion of that in the past few years, right? It's really been like a game changer. As you all know, you hear the word AI every day and Copilot every day, and you can see how the usage of Copilot has absolutely skyrocketed in very, very little time. And it's now over 20 million users of GitHub Copilot. A lot of those are in Visual Studio. So it's absolutely fantastic, and it's transformed the way we work and the way that we're looking at solving problems. And it's so fast, the innovation in this space is faster than anything that I can remember ever having seen in my career. It feels like if you don't keep up with the news, like next time you look at it, it's like, wow, what just happened? Right? It's like something new all the time. And Visual Studio used to have this release cadence of like every 3 to 4 months. But the problem is, the rate of innovation is faster than that. And so as of this summer, we have changed our engineering systems. We've made some changes that allow us to ship every month. That means that we can get you these features, especially the Copilot and AI features, as soon as we are ready. Instead of sitting on them until the next time we release Visual Studio, they just come the next month. Boom, boom, boom. So the rate of innovation here now flows through our release pipeline a lot faster. So we're very, very happy about that, very proud. This was actually a big engineering effort, as you might imagine. Visual Studio is one of the biggest apps in the world. And so being able to ship that now on a monthly basis is fantastic. For a lot of the other new Copilot innovations, I want to invite my friend Ria up here to show you some really cool stuff. Ria?
Thanks, Mads. We've come a long way with AI over the last couple years, so let me share a little bit more about our journey. Just a few years ago, we started with IntelliCode, like the first in its time, and then we quickly evolved to Copilot completions that didn't just suggest a single line suggestion, actually multi-line. And then we've evolved it even further with next edit suggestions, more of a recent add, where it doesn't just predict the next line of code, but actually can try and predict the next edit across your editor. And that same sort of evolution has happened across our entire product, from chat to multi-file edits to agents that don't just respond to you, but work and plan with you. And throughout all of this, we've thought about how can we make AI as native as possible in Visual Studio. And that's exactly what we've done. we've focused on building it right in, making it available out of the box, free to get started with, and accessible whether you're signing in through GitHub or any other platform. And we haven't stopped there. We continue to build experiences that accelerate your end-to-end workflow while making sure that we give you the finite control that you need to be successful. Control over the models that you use, flexibility in the stack that you're bringing into Visual Studio, you're always in control. And while keeping the freedom of an extensible and secure environment in Visual Studio. And that's exactly what we've done with models. Outside of all of the models that we provide in Visual Studio natively, we're actually happy to announce that we are allowing users to bring their own API keys, which will mean that you will be able to bring your models that fit your needs better and your workflows, whether you're looking for the latest frontier of models, optimizing for your own infrastructure, or need full transparency and control over the models that you're using, you're completely in charge. And we've made it super easy to use. Right from the model picker in chat, you can now manage your models, selecting from the given providers that we've allowed and being able to drop in an API key. You can then select from a standard list of models that we provide, or you can specify your own one that you want from your provider. Once you've added your model, you actually just can access it just like any others from your model picker and get started. Now, we're starting this with OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google, and there's more to come. We're really excited about how you use these models in Visual Studio. Now, taking a little bit of a step back, when we think about AI in Visual Studio, it's not just about using AI, it's about making sure that AI works for you. And when we think about that, we really think about how the models, your context, and tools come together to give you a really unique experience that fits your environment. And we can't do that without talking about MCP, Model Context Protocol. I'm sure you've all heard a little bit about it this week, but if you haven't, think about it like this. Copilot plans your travel. Agent Mode flies the plane, and MCP provides the airport infrastructure to make sure everything can connect and so that you can get from one destination to the other very smoothly. And that's exactly what it does for your developer stack, allowing you to connect to things like Azure, GitHub, Figma, and a bunch more, all right within Visual Studio. And that's why we're also investing a lot more in MCP and going to be providing and expanding our support to the entire spec. Not just tools, but prompts and sampling and resources for all remote MCP servers. So Copilot can have the same setup you do and really provide you rich contextual responses without ever having to leave your development environment. We want to make sure that you get the power of all of this from day one. And so we're also going to focus on making sure that we ship valuable common workflows directly in box with Visual Studio, so you don't have any setup pain. With connecting your entire stack, we recognize that things that are top of mind for you are security, trust, and governance. And that's also why we've really focused hard on making sure the entire auth spec is available with MCP. Making sure that auth authentication is built right in with fine-tuned controls for what connects and how it connects, supporting the entire toolchain, Key Vault, and OAuth providers. MCP is able to bring your entire development stack with your security configurations right within Visual Studio. Now, MCP is what's really going to bring Agent Mode from a pair programmer to an end-to-end collaborator right within Visual Studio. It's going to be able to retrieve and perform actions in and out of your IDE. And so to show you a little bit more about the value of this, I'm going to show you how I use the GitHub MCP server and Agent Mode together in Visual Studio. So I've created this eShop project where you can browse the product and add things to your cart. Today, I'd like to make an improvement to it. So let's head over to the tool window and find the MCP server and select the right tools. I know I have a GitHub issue assigned to me for this eShop project. I'm going to go ahead and ask Copilot to look through and find those. Now, as it's doing that, it's actually going and retrieving all of this information from the GitHub MCP server. You can see the first issue itself is actually to create like a chat search experience in eShop. And so I'm going to ask it to provide me more details. Now, what's really powerful about this is Copilot brings together the GitHub issue with rich context of my local solution, tools, and even custom instructions so that it can help me build a really valuable spec for the AI to actually go implement. Aligned with my coding standards, compatible with my solution structure, and grounded in the real requirements pulled straight from my GitHub issue. Now that I'm ready to implement, I'm going to really get the power of agent mode right here. I'm going to go ask it to implement that. Now, agent mode will immediately start gathering the right context, checking that it has everything, and walks through step by step all of the changes that it needs to make. It identifies which files to create, update, and modify. It edits multiple files across your entire solution, referencing relevant types, applying changes, all while trying to respect my architecture. And the best part is that I can review each of these files as I go to maintain trust and stay in the loop. I can even go ahead and redirect it if it's going in the wrong direction by just sending a follow-up prompt or just getting into the code myself in real time. You can see it's going step by step. And the other really great thing about this is that agent mode is actually quite iterative. It's very goal-oriented, so it'll continue to iterate and compile the project, check for things like errors, and even fix them until the build passes and the job is complete. You can see here it's built my solution. Once everything looks good, it'll even provide information like a description of what it's done. And here it's actually built out a test component. That's awesome. And it will provide you a description of what it's done and even tell you things like additional configurations it needs to make and things like that. Now, in the interest of time, I've obviously recorded this in advance and run it. So let's go ahead and just try out my application. Now, this was in a couple minutes that Copilot was actually able to do this for me. And when I open up my solution, I can see that it was actually able to build this little chat search experience a lot faster than I can. It looks like it's working. Now that the feature looks great, I'm actually going to use Copilot to close the loop. I'm going to ask it to close my GitHub issue, leave a note for my designer, and tag them to follow up. Now watch as it pulls the history, creates some sort of meaningful draft, and always keeps me in control, giving me the option to give it permissions to do that. You'll see it actually adds a comment and then actually it asks me if I want to edit the issue to close it out. And it even gives me a summary of exactly what it's done. And here you go, it's right there. This is the magic of integrating MCP and agent mode into your workflow. It's not just pulling information from Visual Studio, it's helping you act on it across tools, across your stack, and with your standards and your team workflow, and never having to leave your IDE. And by the way, agent mode is actually generally available to you all right now, so you can actually use it. Now, when we think about agents, this is a scenario that it works for, but it works for a bunch of different workflows wherever you are in your development journey. Whether you're working on quick prototypes, you're working through an entire spec, iterating with an agent, or even wanting to fully delegate out tasks, we actually have you covered with the fleet of agents that are available in agent mode. Let's take a look at one. So I'm back at my eShop and I want to create a payment system. Now, honestly, I already have a GitHub issue, but I don't really feel like working on it myself right now. I'm going to go and delegate it to the coding agent. And you can see it's actually finding my information from GitHub and now trying to assign it to that agent. I want to delegate it out and eventually look at it and continue to iterate, but I want a starting point because I have other things I want to focus on. So here I'm going to go ahead and allow that. Now agent mode will you'll notice that agent mode immediately determined I needed to invoke the coding agent. And from here, agent will assign the issue, create a draft pull request, start iterating, add commits to my PR, and run builds and perform tests until the implementation is ready to review. Now, at any point throughout this, I can actually go ahead and jump in, either by adding comments or by making changes to the code myself and making it a collaborative experience. Depending on how you want to work with it, you can completely delegate off or work with it. Today, the coding agent is available through MCP, and there's a deeper integration that's coming very soon. We're excited to see how you use it, from to hand off to the agent, to work with it in different ways. We really hope that something like this will help you speed up your end-to-end development workflow and focus on what matters. Now, that's one way we can accelerate your workflow, but we recognize that speed and productivity isn't just about writing new code. It's about removing the toil of the working on old code. And so upgrading .NET, modernizing your legacy applications, we're making that a lot easier so you can focus on what matters. With .NET Upgrade directly enhanced in agent mode, you'll be able to do upgrades really seamlessly. And as of this week, it's actually become generally available for anyone to use. So let's take a look. I'll walk through what it looks like. So I asked agent mode to upgrade my application, and it will automatically recognize that I need to invoke this .NET agent from here. I'm going to go ahead and give it permissions. I noticed that it's going to create a new thread since it's actually a major workflow, and so it wants a separate location. It then goes ahead and tries to understand my project, confirms my intent, gathers information about my upgrade-related data, and asks me follow-up questions like what framework I want to target, how I want to handle the current changes in my code, what version, and everything like that, and how to even apply these changes, whether it's through a separate branch or any other way. It'll then go ahead and analyze my solution, identify projects and test projects, and build a full upgrade plan step by step. Then once I confirm this plan, it will start executing the upgrade, showing me live progress throughout, and even validating things like my .NET 9 SDK, confirming version compatibility, and applying the upgrade, even to a point where it checks for compilability and verifies the success. You can see here that you can follow all of the upgrades that are happening step by step. All of this is to make sure you get full transparency and control as you go through this sort of process. We want it to be collaborative, but also at the same time make you more productive and speed up your end-to-end development. You can see here it even built at the end. We're really hopeful. This is just one of the many ways that actually agents are working in Visual Studio, and there's a lot more to come. We're just getting started. There's been a lot that we've done in Visual Studio that I couldn't even cover today, but and there's more on the way. From powerful AI features to new agent capabilities, we're shipping super fast and building with you in mind. Here is a list of some of the other things that we've got going on. So my recommendation is to stay up to date with the latest and greatest, check out our blogs for anything new, and start exploring everything that we're delivering. We're really excited to hear your feedback, and we hope you enjoy these features. Thank you so much, and happy coding. Back to you, Mads.
Thank you, Ria. Yeah, it really is a big transformation when we add AI into the mix, isn't it?
Thanks.
So, what's next? So, Visual Studio 2022 shipped on November 8th, 2021. So that's been quite a few moments ago. We've had a lot of great updates in between, of course, and we're keeping up to date. But it is time for us to look at the next major version of Visual Studio. And we've been working on that for a little bit. It's so new and it's so great that we have yet to name it, but we have a logo. And we just call it vNext. It's the 18th version of Visual Studio. And we're very, very excited to show you this. And by the way, first of all, I love that new logo. I must say, I think that's the best one so far. Go to the Microsoft booth, get your stickers. We got other swag with that logo. You're going to be the first ones in the world to have swag with this new logo. So make sure you visit the booth after this. We want to make sure that we have covered all the bases, whether you're using older legacy, maintaining, older code, or whether you're on the latest and greatest C# 14, .NET 10, Aspire, or whatever. We cover the whole thing. Okay, that has not changed. We're still as backwards compatible as you might imagine. This is a super key thing for Visual Studio and for all of us, that we can make this a very, very seamless upgrade and support you all the way. And this is truly built with you in mind. As I was mentioning earlier, the way we have kind of transformed the way we collaborate with the users, the community, our ecosystem, partners, and so on, has been accelerated in the last few years, and that is still very true when it comes to the vNext here. If we look at the last 12 months, we have fixed 4,500 user-reported issues and implemented 290 feature requests. So we fixed, basically per workday, that's 18 issues fixed per day. And it's 1.2 feature requests implemented per day in the last 12 months. A lot of this going into vNext. So this is a huge testament to the involvement, the feedback you keep getting us. When we talk after this in the hallways, all these conversations, they all lead to these fantastic numbers and lovable software, that lovable experience that is so absolutely important. Last week, we shipped kind of an early preview to some partners, some MVPs, so our most valuable professionals. And this is what they had to say. I didn't even only take the good parts, which you might expect. No. This was like the initial reaction from actually using this new version of Visual Studio. They were absolutely, positively overwhelmed by the speed, the performance, and the beauty of the new design. So this is very, very preliminary. There's, more feedback is going to come in and all that, but so far off to a fantastic start. This is something that makes us all very, very proud on the team to get this level of feedback. We've never had that much good feedback on the Visual Studio performance numbers, let me tell you that. So very, very pleased to see this. So this is some of the stuff that we're looking at, all those little details, those little paper cuts, those little nuisances. Like the line number margin. For all these decades, why has it always been super wide when you just have like 2 or 3 digits out there? Well, we're fixing that, right? Does it matter? Yes, it matters. It's small, but it's big, okay? So these are the type of details we've been looking at. Color themes is another one. So Visual Studio now ships with 10 color themes out of the box, and they're absolutely gorgeous. So the way we're changing the way that theming works, so it's actually also much easier to create new ones. You can have a dark theme, for instance, but keep the editor light, or the other way around. So you can change that very easily for the first time, which is absolutely phenomenal. Great for accessibility. We got new icons. We got fantastic new Fluent UI. Very excited for this. I'm very excited to see all the themes that people are going to build and ship on the marketplace. We also have new settings. So the settings are now backed by JSON, a JSON file. They are no longer a dialog. They are now built in. It's like the full page, like a document. Very easy to search through, filter. You can say, only show me the settings that I have changed that are not the default, and it will filter to those. only show the settings that have to do with performance or accessibility or some other category. You can edit the JSON directly, and you can even store the JSON file in your repo, in your project. It can follow the solution. So you can have let's say you use the dark theme normally, but when you work on this particular project, you want that to be a green theme, or cool slate, or bubblegum, if that's what you want. And whenever you open that solution, that theme applies. When you close that solution, you go back to the previous color theme. Right, so all settings can now follow your repo. And it opens up for a whole lot of interesting things. So finally, we're getting new settings here. Very excited. When it comes to extensions, for the first time, we're allowing extensions that were built for the previous major version of Visual Studio to be installed on the new one, maintaining full backwards compatibility. So that means that your favorite extension can be installed into this new version of Visual Studio, whether or not the extension author had made that support in the extension. You'll just be asked, hey, this is for a previous version, are you sure you want to install it? And you can just say yes. And so far, all the extensions I've tried, at least, they all just work. So this is fantastic. So from day one, all your extensions are going to be ready for you, making that very, very seamless experience. And you can control the auto update. So that's a big thing. Do you want it to be auto update? Do you want that extension not to auto update, but only when you manually click the update button, for instance? Do you want to turn it on or off for all of them? You get that granular control. Very nice. And Copilot, we have a much deeper integration now, deeper than we had in the past. We're able to really go in and get all the different aspects of the IDE. You have to remember that the IDE, knows about your tests and your debugging experience and all the, everything in your context inside Visual Studio. So with a deeper integration of Copilot to know more about all these different aspects of your development, we can really come up with some unique experiences that are absolutely fantastic. And to show that off, I want to invite my friend Nick up here from the diagnostics team to show you some really cool stuff that he's been working on. Nick?
Awesome. Thanks, Mads. So I'm super excited today to show you the new profiler agent that we're adding to the next version of Visual Studio. And what I want to do here is I want to actually show you it live in action. And so to try and come up with some really cool, compelling demo, I've gone ahead and I have cloned this Sharp ZipLib project from github.com. This is on NuGet. It's one of the top 100 most downloaded packages. So used by tons and tons of developers. It's real world code. And I want to show you how the new profiler agent can help you optimize that just like it would optimize your code and help you make those delightful experiences for your customers. So like I said, I've gone ahead and I've downloaded the project. I brought it up in Visual Studio. And in the new Copilot chat, I can talk to our new profiler agent, knows all about performance optimization, and I can say, hey, profiler, run the Adler 32 large update benchmark and optimize the code that it calls. And immediately you see the profiler agent starts by putting together kind of its plan of attack for what it's going to do. So it says, I'm going to begin by running the benchmark to establish a performance baseline. Those of you that have done performance investigations before, you always want to start out by measuring. So you understand where your code is at, you make your changes, you measure again so you can see the delta. Then it's going to analyze the results to identify optimizations. It's going to go ahead and propose and implement those optimizations. And it's already taken off on the first step of this benchmark. And so you can see it's actually running that benchmark in the background and it's capturing all of that data using the profiler. It's gone ahead and it's hooked on our profiler's iDiagnoser benchmark.net integration. So it captures that rich data. And then once the benchmark is done running, it'll save a resulting diag session and then it can dig into that. And so like some of the agent stuff that Rhea was showing, the Profiler agent knows how to really work with all of the tools that are available in Visual Studio and really help you kind of accomplish the tasks that you need. And so because it's a live demo, it's a little unpredictable. Hopefully this benchmark will stabilize soon. But it looks like it's running 180 to 200 milliseconds per iteration of the benchmark. So we'll just give it a minute or two. And now it's finishing up. You can see the whole spew of information at the end. And right now it's saving the resulting diag session, automatically opens up in Visual Studio. And much like I would begin a performance investigation using the UI, Copilot's gonna start immediately going in there and pulling that information from that diag session and then start giving me some suggestions. So you can already see it says it took about 200 milliseconds to process the large data buffer. It shows nearly all the time is spent in the update method. If I switch over to the CPU usage tool, well, there's the update method in the top functions, and sure enough, most of the time is spent there. It says, I will now analyze and optimize the code, and it's steering it towards that update method. Would you like me to proceed with the optimization? At this point, I could go ahead and say yes and just kind of let it go off, but I want to be in the loop and I have that control. So I can say things like, what optimizations can we do? And now the Profiler agent, again, because it can use all these rich tools, it knows that the time was spent in that update method. It can then go and it can look at the code itself and it can see what's happening. And so I can also do that in the Profiler and I can bring that up. I can see like, oh yeah, update looks expensive. There's a couple of lines where stuff is happening. Looks like this loop is pretty hot. And sure enough, the Copilot agent has already said like, hey, did you know that loop unrolling can help here? It also has some other optimizations, can minimize modulo operations. I think that's already being done in this code. If we're on modern versions of .NET, we can use span, or we can even drop to unsafe code if we need to. If we're on .NET 6+, we can use SIMD vectorization. Don't think I'm going to do that in a live demo, but it would be kind of cool. And you can reduce redundant calculations. And so again, it's saying, hey, I can proceed with these. I can do these optimizations. Would you like me to continue? And so let's start with the loop on rolling optimization. And so I can have the conversation with the Profiler agent. It's taking care of the toil work for me. It's worrying about actually running the different code. It's worrying about actually editing, doing the different optimizations, running, gathering the data, doing the comparisons. I can really just provide the brains in terms of like, what is the task that I want to do to try and help my customers? And so you can see it's already been reading different snippets of code. It's read the Adler32. Hopefully it's going to do the edit. Gotta love live updates or live demos with an LLM. Okay, let's try it one more time. Let's start with the loop unrolling optimization. Oh, there we go. So it says it's starting with the main loop optimization. To optimize loop unrolling, we can process multiple bytes per iteration, 4 or 8. Reducing the loop overhead, it's gone ahead and it's read that Adler32 function. It's gone ahead and it's made the edits for us. It's then checked and see like, hey, are there any errors in there? It's gone ahead and it's actually run a build, and now it's rerunning the benchmarks. So it's doing all those good things that you would expect in a performance optimization. It's doing some sort of measurement. It's coming up with some sort of hypothesis or an experiment to run. It's doing that experiment. It's running it again. And then it's going to actually validate that like, hey, the changes that we're making, these are actually impactful and this is what we should do. And you can see it's gone ahead, it's captured that trace again, and this time the mean is 168. So the loop rolling optimization reduced the mean execution time from 200 milliseconds to 168. It just improved the performance of this code by 17%, and it took care of all the toil work for us. And again, I can continue to do more and more investigations, and I can do more experiments, but with this, Copilot can really just do all that toil work for me, and I can, again, focus in on the things that are interesting to me, and I can be the one that's running the experiment. So with that, thank you.
Thank you there. Thanks, Nick. That was amazing. That's like one of those examples where, you know, for someone like me, for instance, like it's one of those areas I've always struggled with, like figuring out exactly how to optimize performance, and then, you know, getting that help, and then have it kind of hold my hand through it, and, you know, teach me as we go along as well. That's super awesome. I've used it on some of my projects, and I'm just blown away. I think this is one of those things where we took something that was kind of not possible before for a lot of people. Like you're saying, no, that's not, you know, that's not my thing. And then all of a sudden you get that empowerment, and that's really fantastic. So with vNext, we're going to continue the monthly updates. So you're going to see every month we're going to ship a new update. So you're going to be able to reference a version of Visual Studio. You'll be able to say, hey, did you get the March update? You know, the 2027 March update, did you get that one? That's how we're going to refer to Visual Studio probably at some point. And so it's very exciting. We keep that momentum. We keep everything going fresh. It's not quite available yet, but it will be out soon. And you get to use all the stuff, the cool stuff that Nick was showing, all the stuff that Ria was showing as well. And it's coming soon. I can't wait to share it and hear what you have to say about it. So stay tuned, read our blogs and, you know, social media and newsletters or whatever, wherever you get your Visual Studio information. We're very, very excited. And so with that, thank you all very much for coming here. Have a great conference. Thank you.